Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second annual Deceptibot9 Best Figure of the Year Tournament 2022 edition! Woo! Alright, what's up everybody? How's it going? I am your host and referee for the night. This is the Deceptibot9 Best of 2022 Tournament. Yes, it's our second annual tournament for Figure of the Year. I am super excited to be making this video. I loved making the 2021 video, so go ahead and check that out if you want to see kind of how I play things here with the tournament and see who my favorite figure of last year was, some of my other favorite figures of it as well. So, let's go ahead. It's going to be a long one, so let's strap in and get right into the official tournament. First, we're going to start off with some rules and disclaimers. Alright my friends, here is how this tournament is going to work. I have picked a bunch of figures from a bunch of different categories because if you watch the channel, you know that I don't collect just one thing. I collect a lot of things, and that makes it pretty hard to make just a top 10 favorite figures of the year just because I have so many favorites from my favorite sublines. So I started doing this as a way to showcase some of my favorite figures from throughout the year and do it in a little bit of a more fun way than just a regular top 10 list. Now if you watched last year's, I separated each kind of franchise or like subsection of figure into their different teams and picked a certain amount of figures for that team. Last year we had Transformers competing, we had Masters of the Universe, we had Marvel Legends, we had Star Wars Black Series, we had Mortal Kombat in DC, or General McFarlane was after that, which was mostly DC at the time. And I do this just based on how many figures per each thing I got for the year. So, for example, you know, like last year I had enough Mortal Kombat figures throughout the year to make a total Mortal Kombat division. But this year, there's not as many Mortal Kombat figures released, or at least true Mortal Kombat figures, because Todd McFarlane released a lot more characters that were non-Mortal Kombat characters, like guest characters or skins that are DC characters. So I usually don't pick those up because I want to go straight for the Mortal Kombat characters. So Mortal Kombat is not its own team this year, just solely because of that. Same thing, there's no Black Series team because I didn't really get all that many Black Series figures this year. So that's just kind of the way it works out. So other disclaimers is that this is only going to include figures that were released in 2022. I have some figures that I picked up this year that were from late last year or just classic figures. I got a lot of animated figures this year, like Transformers animated figures. Those all came out in 2008, 2009, so they do not count for being Figure of the Year 2022. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to first lay out the teams and how many competitors are in each team, and then we will move on to the bracket and start deciding who is the best figure of the year. So, let's go ahead and introduce our teams. All right, first team is the Transformers team. Of course, I've got 10 competitors in the Transformers team because Transformers will be forever and always my main collecting line. And Transformers, you've got Generations, you've got Studio Series. There's a lot going on with Transformers. So let me run down the figures. Here we go. We've got Legacy Titan Metroplex, Studio Series The Last Knight Hot Rod, Legacy Velocitron Override, Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen, Studio Series Age of Extinction, Galvatron, Legacy G-Axis, Studio Series Bumblebee Movie, Wheeljack, Legacy Velocitron, Cosmos, Legacy Core Class, Bomb Burst, and coming in last place is Bumblebee Movie, Ironhide, and Ratchet. They're the same mold. I like them both equally, so I'm including them both in the one spot, counting them as one figure. All right, introducing our next team, Masters of the Universe. Okay, I have a lot of favorites for this year. Masters of the Universe released so many good figures this year. Let me run down our main competitors. Number 1, Masterverse Hordak. Number 2, Masterverse San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 40th anniversary Skeletor. Masterverse New Eternia Beastman. Masterverse San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 40th anniversary He-Man. Masterverse CGI Skeletor. Mattel Creations exclusive Origins Grizzlor, Masterverse New Eternia Skeletor, Masterverse New Eternia He-Man, Origins Deluxe Leech, and our final competitor for Masters of the Universe is Origins Wave 9 Mantenna. Give it up for the Masters of the Universe team. All right, next team, again with 10 competitors, is going to be Team McFarlane. So this is any McFarlane figure that was released this year. That includes DC, that includes Mortal Kombat, that includes Spawn, whatever random McFarlane figures that I got this year are all included in the McFarlane list this year. So let me run down our competitors for Team McFarlane. All right, first we've got Deluxe or Mega Figure Bane, McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Classic Doomslayer, Mortal Kombat Nightwolf, DC Multiverse Gold Label Ocean Master, DC Multiverse Gold Label Martian Manhunter, DC Multiverse Black Adam movie Dr. Fate, DC Multiverse Page Punchers Black Adam, DC Multiverse Mega Figure Man-Bat, DC Multiverse Gold Label Shazam, and last but not least on the competitor list for DC Multiverse or for McFarlane Toys is Target exclusive Build-A-Figure Starro. So let's give it up for Team McFarlane. All right, playing for Team Marvel Legends. There's only 5 in this category, not as many. Let's run it down. We've got Walmart exclusive The Lizard, Black Panther Wave MCU Namor the Submariner, Target exclusive Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Noir, Disney Plus Wave Moon Knight, and Disney Plus Wave Mr. Knight. Those are our 5. Let's give it up for Team Marvel Legends. Okay, now, introducing our final team. This is the miscellaneous team. These are figures that I didn't either have a subgroup for that I still really liked, or there was, like some Mortal Kombat figures are going to appear in here because I did not have enough Mortal Kombat figures for a Team Mortal Kombat, and that really disheartens me, but I need Todd McFarlane to make more just straight up Mortal Kombat characters because there's just not enough. Okay, anyway, miscellaneous team, we've got Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat Kintaro, Storm Collectibles Tekken 7 King, Mattel's Jurassic Park Hammond Collection T-Rex. This is a beautiful piece. Star Wars The Black Series Gaming Greats Boss. This is a controversial one, but I really liked Boss. And coming in at number 5, it's not necessarily in any order, but our 5th player for Team Miscellaneous is Mattel's Lightyear Alpha Class Buzz Lightyear figure. So let's give it up for the miscellaneous team, the ragtag guys that didn't get a chance to make it into any other team. So how I did this was I put all of these into a tournament bracket generator, and I have created a bracket for us to go through. I'm going to put the matchups. We're going to go through them one by one now that we know who each of the competitors are. And the first round is probably going to take a little longer because I'm going to be, weighing in my thoughts and opinions on each figure for the most part, especially when they're put up against one another. I'm going to see if I can throw a picture of the bracket up on screen now. If not, this is how it's going to look like. This is one half of the bracket. We've got a couple introductory starter matches, and then we've got our main first round here, second round, third round, semifinals, and then into the finals. So we're going to do one half of this bracket first, going all the way to the semifinals, and then we'll come back, do the second half to the semifinals, and then we will go semifinals, and then into the finals, and then at the very end, just for fun, we'll break down kind of who the top 10 were that I ended up with on this bracket, and that will be concluded as my top 10 figures of the year. So, we're going to go ahead and get into the tournament, but consider this your first commercial break. So go ahead, go to the bathroom, get a drink, go to the snack bar and get a snack if you want, but the tournament is about to begin in just a few minutes. And by a few minutes, I mean right now, because we're coming back into the action right away. I don't have any sponsors, so when I said commercial, I was doing it for jokes. Anyway, all right, here we go. So, to get into what is the first round of the bracket, we have to get through a couple introductory rounds. Just because of how many competitors there were, that's how the bracket broke it out. So, Our first matchup of the night is Marvel Legends Disney Plus Infinity Ultron Wave Moon Knight versus Gold Label Martian Manhunter. Now, this is kind of a tough matchup because these are both awesome figures. I was really excited to find Martian Manhunter in store. I think he looks really, really great, but I'm gonna have to edge this one out to Moon Knight, because if you watch my channel, you know Moon Knight is my favorite superhero of all time, and I think the Disney Plus costume was really, really well done. I have some qualms about the show itself, but I cannot deny that the costume was one of my favorite parts of the show. I think it looks spectacular. Plus, that figure turned out really, really, really well. I love the way he looks all around. So, just like that, Moon Knight is going to move on into the first round of the bracket. We'll see who he's facing here in a minute. All right, moving into the next matchup of the pre-round is going to be Bumblebee Movie Wheeljack versus San Diego Comic-Con Skeletor. Now, this is a really tough pick. I love Wheeljack. He's one of my favorite characters in the Transformers franchise. I think this figure as a deluxe class is really, really good, and he stands up as obviously he's on this list, so he's one of the best deluxe figures of the year. He had some fun things going on with his transformation. His robot mode looks great, plus he has an awesome vehicle mode. On the other hand, San Diego Comic-Con Skeletor is really, really good. 40th Anniversary Skeletor is a great body mold, and he looks absolutely fantastic. Plus, you get things like the die-cast weapons. I know it's not really fair to compare a general release to an exclusive release, but we don't know if we're getting a general release of this Skeletor, and I feel really, really lucky to be able to own this Skeletor. So, just because of some of that, I'm going to have to edge it to San Diego Comic-Con Skeletor. It's really an awesome figure. Okay, coming in, our next matchup of the pre-round is Studio Series The Last Night Hot Rod, who I have a full review of if you want more details on this figure because he's incredible, versus Mortal Kombat Nightwolf. Now, as much as I want to say this is a hard decision, I love this Nightwolf figure. He is super incredible, but unfortunately, Studio Series The Last Night Hot Rod is just so well designed. His robot mode looks fantastic. His Lamborghini mode looks great. And he has one of the coolest transformations I think I've ever done in a Studio Series Deluxe figure. So I'm going to have to give this one to Hot Rod. He's probably easily one of my favorite figures of the year. All right, coming into our final matchup of the pre-round for the first half of the bracket, Mattel Creations exclusive Origins Grizzlor and Storm Collectibles Kintaro. Now, this is really a shame because Grizzlor is my favorite Origins figure that they released this year, but an Origins figure holds no candle to a Storm Collectibles figure. And Kintaro here is just really, really cool. I mean, he takes the Goro kind of standard mold they released a few years ago and he expands upon it. I love the way Kintaro looks, plus he comes with an abundance of accessories and he's got great articulation all over the place, just like any Storm figure does. So, Kintaro is going to have to take this one. All right, and that's going to move us officially into the first round of the first half of the bracket. So, coming back all the way up to the top, we have Storm Collectibles King versus Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure Wave Moon Knight. So we've talked about Moon Knight already, but King here is just absolutely incredible. Again, he's a Storm Collectibles figure, so there's a little bit of a difference going on in terms of price and quality, accessories, all that jazz, just because it's a higher end figure versus a standard release Marvel Legends. But I love King. Tekken is a game that I'm not really very good at, but I've loved since childhood. And I was at San Diego Comic-Con and I went past Bandai Namco booth and they had the Storm Tekken King for sale, and I went, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to grab him because he looks just so cool. So as much as I love Moon Knight, unfortunately, King is gonna have to move on into the next round because he's just such a great figure. All right, coming in the next battle of round one is DC Multiverse Man-Bat versus New Eternia Beastman. Now, this is a good matchup, but Beastman is gonna have to take this one. I really like Man-Bat as a whole, but he has some problems in terms of his upper body being way too heavy for his lower body, and his ankles not really being able to support him all that much in certain positions, and in most positions, actually. So, as much as I like Man-Bat, like, he's well sculpted, he's got some decent articulation on him, but unfortunately,
if they had engineered him a little bit better to be able to stand up a lot easier, he would have to take it. But Beastman here, he stands great. He looks fantastic. He comes with so many accessories. You can get multiple different looks out of the guy. And Beastman just takes the cake on this one. All right, another interesting matchup here. This is the DC Multiverse Build-A-Figure Starro versus the 40th Anniversary Skeletor. Now, as much as I think Starro is an incredible piece, he doesn't hold a candle to an actual action figure. He looks really great. He's got a lot of detail all over him. Putting him together was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, he lacks articulation. He lacks some sort of, he's got bendy wires in his tentacles, but he needs some kind of support to stand up. He doesn't include any stands or anything. But he is a really, really cool piece to have in your collection, and putting him on a shelf with a bunch of your DC characters, he looks really, really cool. But comparing him to just an action figure who articulates, he's got a moving jaw, he's got double joints everywhere, he doesn't really hold a candle. Plus, I really love that Skeletor. I really, really love that Skeletor. So, Skeletor's moving on. Okay, here it is. This one might be a little bit of a tough one. This is DC Multiverse Gold Label Ocean Master versus Star Wars Black Series Gaming Greats Boss. Now, I know a lot of people were not happy with how Boss turned out, but I actually really, really liked him. I enjoy the Hunter body mold a lot. He was in my list from last year, and I don't remember how far he got, but he got a little bit of the way. I love that Hunter mold, and sure, the Republic Commandos could be a little bit bulkier, yada, yada, yada. I think it works out great, and I think Boss looks really cool. On the other hand, Ocean Master is one of my favorite comic villains, and he was on a body mold that I already really liked as well, so I don't know. This one is tough. I did really like Ocean Master, but Boss is really, really cool. Oh, this is a tough one here. I don't know where to go this route. Ocean Master. I think I'm gonna have to give this one to Ocean Master. He was also, the lucky thing is they were both kind of exclusives. Ocean Master was a little easier to hunt down than Boss. Plus, it's a McFarlane figure, so you're getting a little more value out of it versus, the cost. So I'm going to give this one to Ocean Master. Okay, another tough one here. This one is actually kind of tough. New Eternia He-Man from Masterverse versus Studio Series Last Night Hot Rod. New Eternia He-Man was great, and I loved getting New Eternia in Masterverse because it felt like a turning point for Masterverse. There was a lot of people who were turned off by the Revelations figures and weren't huge fans of them, but as soon as New Eternia came out, people started hopping more and more on the Masterverse bandwagon because it showed really what Masterverse is capable of, and I really, really liked He-Man. On the other hand, Hot Rod, again, he's one of the best engineered figures of the year, I think, in my opinion, so I am going to have to give this one to Hot Rod. All right, moving on. This one's actually not that tough, but it's a fun matchup to look at. We've got the Mattel Alpha Class Buzz Lightyear versus Bumblebee Movie, Ratchet, and Ironhide mold. So, I love Buzz Lightyear. I made a full review of this guy on my channel as well. I loved the Lightyear movie as well, but Buzz has been one of my favorite characters for a long time. So, getting kind of a 6-inch scale, like ultra articulated action figure out of him was a lot of fun, and I love that Buzz Lightyear, but I love the Bumblebee Movie, Ratchet, and Ironhide figures. They remind me so much of the War for Cybertron video game designs, and I love just getting to mess around with those two figures. I think they pose great, they look really great, their transformation is a lot of fun, and they turn into a tiny little Cybertronian van. So this one's going to Ironhide / Ratchet. Okay, this is a tough matchup, guys. Believe me when I say this is a tough matchup. Studio Series Leader Class The Fallen versus Storm Collectibles Kintaro. This is really tough. The Fallen is easily one of my favorite Transformer figures released this year. I love the way he looks. His transformation is a lot of fun. His vehicle mode is a whole lot of nothing, but it is really cool at the same time. But Kintaro is just a great piece on the shelf. He's kind of hiding in the back there. I don't know if you can see him, but I love getting all these mini-boss characters in Mortal Kombat. Ooh, this is a really tough one for me, but you know what? I think I'm going to have to give it to Kintaro. As much as I love The Fallen, Kintaro and Storm Collectibles just gets banger after banger with their figures, especially with the big mini-boss characters. Motaro, last year, he almost got all the way. He was the second place. He did really well last year. So Kintaro here is going to move on to the next round. All right, final matchup of Wave 1. I always love when it's the same company or the same team going against each other because I already kind of know which one I like better. So we've got Legacy Velocitron Cosmos versus Studio Series Galvatron. Okay, so I'm going to have to give it to Galvatron on this one. Cosmos is a lot of fun. I love him. He's one of my favorite mini-bots, but he was an exclusive. He was really, really hard to find, and he shouldn't have been. He should not have been that hard to find. He should not have been exclusive to begin with. Whereas Galvatron, on the other end, he is a really well-engineered figure for a character that technically doesn't transform on screen. He just kind of morphs from one mode to another. So Galvatron got a lot of work done, and the designers really put some great thought into making that action figure happen, and he looks great. So Galvatron's going to go to the next round. All right, we've moved on to the second official round in this half of the bracket. So we can kind of start going a little faster with some of these knockouts because we've kind of talked about all the figures now. So our first matchup is going to be Storm Collectibles King versus New Eternia Beastman. Now this is a tough one, but I think I'm going to have to give it to Beastman because Beastman is just so cool. He's really big. He's really imposing. He comes with a lot of great accessories for a standard retail release figure. I think Masterverse is knocking it out of the park. This year they had lots and lots of great figures. And while Storm Collectibles King is overall a great figure, I just had a lot more fun with Beastman, I think. So I'm going to have to give this one to Beastman. All right, next matchup is 40th Anniversary Skeletor versus Gold Label Ocean Master. Now this one is another easy one. It's going to have to go to Skeletor. As much as I love the Ocean Master, again, Skeletor, Masterverse has been killing the game this year. It is easily my favorite action figure line. I'm not counting Transformers. I mean, Transformers is kind of its own thing, but like standard like 6-inch, 7-inch action figure lines, I think Mattel has knocked it out of the park with Masterverse, especially this year. Come out with lots of great figures. So Skeletor is going to move on. All right, coming down to another matchup between team members. This is going to be Studio Series Hot Rod versus Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Ratchet and Ironhide. Easy takes the cake. Hot Rod here on this one is just great. As much as I love the engineering and the design overall of Bumblebee Movie, Ironhide, and Ratchet, the engineering and the design and everything about Studio Series Hot Rod just works so well for me, and I love it so much. Hot Rod's moving on. All right, final matchup in the second round officially is going to be Storm Collectibles Kintaro versus Studio Series Galvatron. Both great figures. Both great figures. But when you're putting them together, I mean, Galvatron is really cool and a lot of fun. But again, I'm going to have to give this one to Kintaro. I love the Mortal Kombat figures, especially the ones from Storm. And as cool as Galvatron is, Kintaro just has such a great presence with all the other Mortal Kombat guys. All right, here we go. This is the quarterfinals round. We've got two main matchups to see who will progress into the semifinals. We've got first matchup is New Eternia Beastman versus 40th Anniversary Skeletor. Now, this is kind of a hard one here. I love the Skeletor and I love the Beastman. I think Beastman is going to edge out Skeletor just a little bit because as much as I love the Skeletor, he's exclusive to the con. He's a little harder to get, but he's got some cool stuff going on. But Beastman as a standard retail release is just so spectacular. Beastman moves on to the semifinals. Okay, here it comes. This is a really tough matchup. Studio Series The Last Night Hot Rod versus Storm Collectibles Kintaro. This is going to be really, really tough. These are both awesome figures. These are both really, really good figures. Kintaro, though, he's a Storm Collectibles figure. He was $130, something like that, but he comes with a lot of stuff. He's really greatly articulated. He's got great detail. He comes with a lot of accessories. Plus, he came with extra ones for Sub-Zero, but Hot Rod is a standard $25 Studio Series Deluxe, and he is just full of articulation. He's got a wonderfully fun transformation, and his Lamborghini mode looks great. So, oh man, and what might be the first upset of the night, well, maybe not the first, but one of the biggest upsets of the night, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Hot Rod. I really don't know if I can articulate how much I actually really like this Hot Rod figure. He came out so well. I'm so sorry, Kintaro, but Hot Rod is going to move on. Okay, we have reached the semifinals for this round. It is New Eternia Beastman and Studio Series Hot Rod. So let's go ahead and take a break really quick, and we're going to move on to the second half of the bracket. But before we do that, it's been a while. Go ahead, we're going to do a little bit of an intermission. We're going to have to... I did that last year. I said we're going to take an intermission. We're doing a sports tournament, guys. My theater kid is showing again. We're at halftime. We're going to do halftime right now in the tournament. Go ahead, pause the video. Go ahead, take a bathroom break if you need it. If you need to go get a drink, get a snack, go ahead, do that personally. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the tournament bracket. We're going to do this just like we did the first one. We'll go through our pre-rounds. We'll go through our first round into our second round, third round, and then we'll get to the semifinals, and we will do a big end from there. We'll do the semifinalists and into the finals. So here we go. Our first matchup of the pre-round is Black Adam movie, Dr. Fate versus Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure Wave, Mr. Knight. These are both great figures. This Dr. Fate is awesome because he is played by Pierce Brosnan in the movie, who is one of my favorite actors. I think the design is really, really well done. Plus, it is a huge improvement over the disappointment that was Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. Even though I included Injustice 2 Dr. Fate in my video from last year, I watched it back and I wasn't sure why I did that because, I mean, especially since this figure's come out, the other one is just kind of really bad in comparison to the Black Adam one. But I guess that means Dr. Fate. No, I guess Hot Rod. Hot Rod also is, I mean, it's a different character technically, but Hot Rod has made the lists back to back, so Dr. Fate has also made the year list back to back, so good for Dr. Fate. Anyway, Dr. Fate versus Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight is incredible. I think he looks great overall, and he fits in well with both MCU shelf and the comic shelf as well. Even though the design is slightly different between the comic version and the MCU version, it fits in well enough. I love finally getting a Mr. Knight, so Mr. Knight is going to move on to the first round. All right. Oh, this is a tough one too. Into the next round of the pre-round is Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Noir, Target exclusive figure, and the McFarlane Toys exclusive Doomslayer from Doom. I made a review of this guy over on my channel a while ago. I love Doom. It's one of my favorite gaming franchises, and I was slightly disappointed with the original McFarlane Doomslayer body mold release, and the classic one does not disappoint at all. He's an incredible figure. So as much as I love Spider-Man Noir, especially in the movie, the figure turned out really, really great as well, but just because of how good the Doomslayer is, I'm going to give this one to Doomslayer. Okay, this one is a little bit of a tough one. We've got Velocitron Override versus MCU Namor. Now, Namor is one of my favorite comic book characters as well. If you couldn't tell, I love the water guys, and this figure turned out really, really well. I was in a little bit of a Marvel Legends slump when I bought Namor, but I couldn't pass up getting Namor because he looked incredible. But Override is a childhood classic that is got a modern figure now, and she turned out really, really well. I think her robot mode is awesome, her transformation is really fun, and her vehicle mode is really great. She's a great update to the original. So, gonna have to give this one to Override. All right, last matchup of the pre-battle is going to be Masterverse CGI Skeletor, who I really, really love, versus the Hammond Collection T-Rex. The T-Rex is just such a beautiful piece. It turned out so well. He's got so much articulation. He can convey a lot of emotion. And I never thought I would have such a cool T-Rex action figure. I love T-Rex. It's always been my favorite dinosaur. So it's really, really cool to have this. And as much as I love the CGI Skeletor, I just think T-Rex turned out so cool. He's going to move on. Okay, now we're moving into the official first round. So here we go. First matchup of the official first round in this half of the bracket is Origins Mantenna versus Infinity Ultron Mr. Knight. Now, Mantenna is really, really cool. They were able to do the full 4 legs and a standard card. They could have easily made him a deluxe figure or made him a Creations exclusive just because of extra budget. Plus that, they kept the eye bulging gimmick as well. So I think Mantenna turned out to be a really solid addition into the Origins line this year. But once again, we've got Mr. Knight, who's a figure I've wanted for a long time because I love Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. And he is so versatile and fitting in either a comic shelf or an MCU shelf. As much as I like Mantenna, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Mr. Knight. Okay, this one is a fun match. We've got Masterverse Deluxe Hordak, who I think is the best Masterverse release of the year, and Gold Label DC Multiverse Shazam. Now, I was lucky enough to be one of the first people in the entirety of the world to find this figure. I was one of the first people, maybe if not the first person, to review this figure. So I have a lot of fun connection to the Shazam figure just because of those few things. It gave me a lot of nice publicity for a while, and it was really fun to be a guy that was one of the first people to find the figure. So besides that, though, I do wish some things were done better about the Shazam figure overall. He's a really great figure, and I'm really looking forward to the Zachary Levi one that's coming out. But Hordak is just such a solid release overall. I'm giving this one to Hordak. Okay, Origins Leech versus McFarlane Toys Doomslayer. This one is kind of tough. I really liked Leech. I liked how he had swappable parts to make him either representative of the original figure or more representative of what the character actually looks like. I thought that was a great idea to sort of make either fan happy. It didn't get rid of the gimmick in favor of looking better, and it, didn't give a gimmick over looking better. So you know what I'm saying. But Doomslayer, again, was super, super great release. I love Doom. And it was just so unexpected, and it's just turned out to be such a good figure. I'm so sorry, Leech. The Origins guys just keep getting screwed in this bracket, but Masterverse is doing well, so it's okay. Giving this one to Doomslayer. Okay, this one's a little bit of a tough one. So, Masterverse New Eternia Skeletor. A great update and a great take on Skeletor versus the Walmart exclusive retro-carded Marvel Legends Lizard. Now, this one is a lot of fun because Lizard is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and I have the Build-A-Figure over here, and I was very much looking forward to this classic comic version of the Lizard because he looked really cool, and got him in hand, and he is really cool. I love his swappable parts, I love his accessories that he comes with, and he poses really, really well. New Eternia Skeletor really also was a fun surprise. I loved the New Eternia figures, as I've talked about many times before. The Skeletor was a great take on him, but I think just because of how awesome the Lizard is, how much fun he was to pose around, and he is going to look great on my Spider-Man shelf instead of the Build-A-Figure, I think I'm going to have to give this one to the Lizard. Okay, again, this one's going to be a little bit of an easy one. We've got Legacy Core Class Bombburst, one of my favorite little dudes of the year, versus Velocitron Override. She was tremendous, and it's hard when you're putting a Voyager against a core class, but Bombburst has a lot of fun built into him, but I'm giving this one to Override. Okay, this one is really sad. It's not a tough one in the slightest, at least for me, but it's really sad because it includes a great figure. This is Titan Class Legacy Metroplex versus 40th Anniversary He-Man. Mine specifically the San Diego Comic-Con version of him. And this is a no-brainer. Metroplex takes this one. This is my Metroplex. I wanted to make a video on Metroplex, but he is so big I couldn't figure out a right way to do it. I filmed it like 3 times. It just wasn't working for me. But I love Metroplex. This was the first version of Metroplex that I was ever introduced to as a kid. I have the original toy still, and it means a lot to me that he got an update so good as this one. I think he is the best Titan class figure that Hasbro has given us, and he turned out really, really well. So as great as that He-Man is, he is honestly the best He-Man we've gotten in a long time. Don't come at me, Classics people, but he's the best He-Man. I'm going to have to give this one to Metroplex. Okay, this one is a fun matchup because I just like to think about in-universe how this fight would go. We've got the DC Multiverse Mega Figure Bane and the Hammond Collection T-Rex. Now, I think Bane would destroy a T-Rex in a fight if he's fully pumped up on Venom. And the Bane figure that came out this year is just really, really spectacular overall. Competing against the T-Rex is a tough matchup for him because, again, this T-Rex figure, guys, he's really, really cool. He's got, like I said, a lot of articulation. You can get a lot of emotion out of him. But I think I am going to have to give this one to Bane because he is my favorite DC Comics villain. And he looks great on the shelf, and he poses really, really well as well. Last matchup of the first round of this half of the bracket is going to be Legacy Voyager Class G-Axis versus Page Puncher's Black Adam. Now, Page Puncher's Black Adam is really, really solid. I like his accessories that he comes with. I love just the way he looks overall. It's probably my favorite looking version of Black Adam, but This G-Axis figure is awesome. He is just jumped straight out of the G2 comics. He looks really great. He's big for a Voyager. He's really imposing. He's got a fun transformation into a vehicle mode that is a little bit of nonsense, but at the same time is really cool. So I'm going to have to give this one to G-Axis. Okay, just like the other half of the bracket, now we've kind of met all our competitors, so we can kind of blow through this part of the bracket. So we've got Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure Wave Mr. Knight versus Masterverse Hordak. Now, as much as I've been raving about Mr. Knight, this is a no-brainer. Hordak takes the cake on this one. He is such a great figure. He comes with lots of fun accessories. He comes with lots of different options to be able to display how he looks. Easily my favorite Masterverse release of the year. I love this Hordak. So, Hordak is moving on. Okay, now this one's a little bit of a tough one. We've got the McFarlane Toys Doomslayer versus the Walmart exclusive Marvel Legends Lizard. These are both tremendous figures. I really, really enjoy both of these figures a lot. But honestly, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Doomslayer because he's just so incredible. I love having a classic Doomslayer in my collection. I'd love to get a Kratos figure just so I could have a cool video game character shelf running one day where I have a Doomslayer and a Kratos on the same level. So Doomslayer takes this round. All right, now this one breaks my heart because we've got Legacy Override going against Legacy Metroplex, and I love both of these figures. I am a kid of Cybertron, so both of these figures getting released this year really meant a lot to me because it means we're finally taking a step in the direction of getting figures that I had as a kid coming into the forefront in the toy line. Having said that, though, I'm going to give this one to Metroplex because he's just awesome. He's so cool. I have so much fun with this Metroplex, and I love Override too, don't get me wrong. All right, last matchup of the second round here is DC Multiverse Bane versus Legacy Voyager G-Axis. Two imposing big villains of their universes. One of them transforms. The other one kind of transforms with his Venom powers. They're both great figures. You can't go wrong with either one of these figures. But I think, honestly, as much as I like G-Axis, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Bane because he's such a fun release for this year, and he's a great version of Bane in action figure form. All right, here it is. That takes us into the quarterfinals. So who is going to move on into the semifinals round? First matchup is Masterverse Hordak versus McFarlane Toys Doomslayer. I have been raving about both of these figures the entire time we've been talking about this half of the bracket. But unfortunately, this is where Doomslayer has his downfall because Hordak is king and he is taking the lead going into the semifinals. Hordak is such a good figure, guys. All right, coming in here, who is going to go into the semifinals here? This is Legacy Metroplex versus DC Multiverse Bane. And again, yeah, you know where this is going. I'm giving this one to Metroplex. He is fantastic. I love how Titan Class Metroplex turned out. I think he's very much worth the price. I think he is just so good to have, especially as a kid who grew up with Cybertron. It makes my heart happy seeing this character in new figure form. So Metroplex moving on to the semifinals. Okay, so let's go back. We're at the semifinals now. So we are going to see who is going to be figure of the year. We've got our top four figures now. On this side, we've got New Eternia Beastman versus Studio Series The Last Night Hot Rod. Now, if I remember correctly, this Studio Series Hot Rod also made it to the semifinals last year, which is a great showing for Hot Rods. Are we going to have a Hot Rod next year who moves on to the semifinals? We'll have to find out. But, so that's Beastman versus Hot Rod. And then on the other side, we have Masterverse Hordak versus Legacy Metroplex. So let's talk Beastman versus Hot Rod first. Now, both of these figures are truly, truly incredible. I love what we got with Beastman. You can have him in a New Eternia style. You can have him in a classic style. He's got great articulation. He's really, really solid. But let's talk about Hot Rod. Hot Rod is magnificent. Again, I love what they did with transformation. It's just absolutely glorious. His robot mode looks very much like his on-screen model, and he turns into a very nice looking Lamborghini as well. They worked in some really cool engineering to get him in between both modes when his robot mode doesn't really have a lot of Lamborghini parts on him. So I think Hot Rod is going to edge out over Beastman, even though I really, really love that Beastman. Hot Rod is moving on to the final round, which means we've got to see who is going to face off against Hot Rod. We've got... This one really is tough. This one makes me sad. It's really telling though. Both the semifinals have been a Transformer versus a Masters of the Universe figure, which goes to show how great both of these toy lines have been this year. I can't tell you how much I have been in love with the Masters of the Universe stuff that's come out this year. 2022 has been a great year for Masters of the Universe fans, and as for me, someone who loves the brand and is just being so spoiled with how many toys are coming out for it now, I really like it. But the Transformers fans also, we've been spoiled this year as well with Legacy and Studio Series. It's just been really great. So this one is Hordak versus Metroplex. Now, obviously, we're comparing a $200 Titan class figure versus a $30 deluxe figure. One of them transforms, one of them doesn't. It's really tough to call because I really do love the Hordak figure, but I am going to have to give this one to Metroplex. Moving on to the finals is Metroplex because I think he is tremendous. I love the way he looks in all of his modes. His transformation is really fun. He is probably the best Titan class figure that Hasbro has given us, which takes us into our final round. It is Studio Series Hot Rod versus Cybertron Universe Legacy Metroplex. I think you guys will be able to tell which way this is going, but I am going to give the finals to, drumroll please, drumroll, who is going to win? Legacy Metroplex. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Metroplex is really great, guys. And I love Hot Rod. I love every figure, don't get me wrong. Every figure that's on this list, I absolutely adore overall. So, Metroplex, congratulations on being Figure of the Year. Last year, Figure of the Year was HasLab Unicron. Now, I'm going to give you guys, according to my tournament, who were my top 10 figures of the year. This is a fun way to calculate who my top 10 figures of the year are, because if I had just done it normally, it probably would not have ended up like this. So we're going to confer with the judges, give the judges just 1 minute to assess our top 10, and then we will be back with you in just a moment. All right, so the judges have done their tallying. They've gone back through the bracket, seeing who's won, who's lost, to give us an overall top 10. So I'm going to run through this really fast. Coming in at number 10, Marvel Legends The Lizard. I think he did a great job in the tournament. He's a great version of the character to have, and if you were able to grab him, you definitely should. Coming in at number 9, he did put up a great fight, and I love the Storm Collectibles people. So Storm Collectibles King coming in at number 9. I think this was a great figure overall. It was just a really tough matchup that he had to face in the original bracket. Number 8 is going to be Override. I really love Override. If you couldn't tell, I have a review of her as well if you want to see my deeper thoughts on Override. She did great in the tournament, but of course she comes up against Metroplex. Didn't really stand much of a chance there. Coming in at number 7, just shortly above Override, is Bane. Now, see, if I was making this list, I probably would not have put Override that low, and I probably would not have put Bane right above Override, but this is how it worked. Bane coming in at number 7. He's a great figure. If you like the McFarlane stuff, if you like the DC stuff, definitely go ahead and grab Bane. Coming in at number 6, he did a great job in the tournament this year, but he had some really tough matchups. Storm Collectibles Kintaro. It's really sad that we didn't have a Storm Collectibles figure make the top 5 at least, because I think I had at least 2 in the top 5 last year, but Kintaro, really great figure. He is so cool, and again, just like every Storm figure, if you didn't get him while he's retail price, make sure you can get him while he's retail price, or else he's going to shoot up in price exponentially. He is a fantastic figure. Coming in at number 5 is the 40th anniversary San Diego Comic-Con Masterverse Skeletor. He's a great figure. I love the Skeletor. It's the best version of Skeletor we've had in Masterverse so far, and he's just a great version of the character overall. And I think if you aren't into the Masterverse yet, if you have a chance to get the SDCC pack at a good price, these are the ones you should pick up, are the 40th anniversary ones. They are fantastic. Which means, of course, we're now into the semifinalists, which makes the top 4 a little bit easier. Number 4 is going to be Beastman. I do really like Beastman. He put out such a great showing in the tournament. He's got a lot of fun stuff going on. Again, this is another one that I recommend to people who maybe are hesitant about Masterverse. Get Beastman. He is tremendous. Number 3, Hordak, again, just like Beastman, if you are unsure about Masterverse, get Hordak. He is such a good version of the character. He comes with lots of great accessories, and his articulation is just spot on. I love Hordak. And now, of course, number 2 would be Studio Series Hot Rod. I've been raving about this guy since I posted my review of him. Well, even since before then, because while I was working on it, I loved Hot Rod. He's great. I've been raving about him this whole tournament, which, of course, is number 1 Metroplex as well. So there it is, guys. There it is. We have reached the end of 2022, and we've talked about so many figures today. There were 40 total figures on this list, which is just truly a lot of figures, and it barely scratches the surface of how many some of us have actually gotten throughout the year. But this is one of my favorite videos to make, guys, and I'm sure the outcome is not what some of you were hoping or expecting, but that's the course of opinions and subjectiveness, right? And that's why we love this tournament. Now, go ahead, guys, and let me know down below, what are some of your favorite figures from the year? It could be from anything that you guys collect. I know we all have our different collections going on out there, so just tell me what your favorite figures of the year are. Go ahead and let me know about the bracket as well. What are the major upsets? Are there any figures that you think deserve to be in the top 10 or the semifinals or the finals from my list that didn't make it in? Go ahead and let me know all that fun stuff about all of this down below. And guys, I know this is a long video, but it's one of my favorite videos to make. So if you guys made it all the way to the end, I do really, truly appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me for all your support. Thank you guys for a great 2022. We've gained a lot of fans this year on the channel as well. We got a lot of good views. A lot of momentum moved on the channel this year, guys, and I have just you guys to thank for it. So thank you for sticking with me. If you've stuck with me no matter how long it's been, whether it's been since I started in the pandemic in 2020 was when I made my first video on the channel, or if you just joined me in the last few weeks, I do thank you for all of your support. It does really, truly mean a lot to me. So let's go ahead and talk all things action figures all the time, everywhere. With all that said, guys, thank you for watching and making it all the way to the end of the tournament. As always, I have been your host, deceptibot9. Thank you all for joining me for the second annual Best of the Year tournament, and I will see you all in 2023.